You've been waiting for it, right? Well, let's hear the halving. It's upon us in the Bitcoin community. Let's just say they're champing at the bit. And why not? Take a look at that. I think this will be the fourth run, right? The prior three all saw strong rallies over the next 12 to 18 months. Let's bring in Coin Stories podcast host Natalie Brunell. All right, Natalie, so is there a chance, though, that when this initially happens, we could actually get the old buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing?
Sure. I mean, a lot of this has been priced in, so I think we can expect short-term volatility as usual. But long-term, the price has been trending up, and we've actually never seen a new all-time high in a cycle prior to the next halving. So things could get a little spicy here.
We've got them on the chart here. I mean, so it's just amazing. The first one, I mean, it's just absolutely, it's hard not to be enticed by what we're seeing here, again, over a certain period of time.
Yeah, the logarithmic chart is always really expressive of the fact that Bitcoin is just going up in one direction. But, you know, a lot of people can get kind of confused. What is the halving? Because we've never had an asset that has this baked-in reduction in the incoming supply, regardless of the demand. But I really think it demonstrates the elegance of this programmatic monetary policy that really is an elegant set of rules with no rulers that we all engage in and participate in voluntarily. No one's imposing this on us. Bitcoin is chosen by us, the people.
And this is the core, one of the core value propositions of it, right? But I want to ask you about the last few days. Bitcoin's come down a lot. And so folks who are anti-Bitcoin are saying, hey, there you go. It was sold to us as a sort of a hedge against geopolitics. And as soon as something flares up, it collapses. What do you say to people like that?
Well, you know, it's the fast money that's selling in and out of Bitcoin and creating this short-term volatility. The smart money and the permanent capital is seeking shelter in Bitcoin, and more investors are going to see it as this flight to safety, including when things get more and more uncertain and chaotic around us, because Bitcoin is the one thing that is actually certain and predictable. The halving is just another example of that. It decouples the power to manipulate money from the state, and it allows all of us to be in a fair competition so that real value can come to the surface. All
right, Natalie, I want you to hold right there for a second, because I'm going to get back to you in a second, but I also want to bring in a friend of ours. It seems these days everyone is gold member, right? Check this out. Goldman Sachs saying gold $2,700 an ounce this year. Now, we know, of course, emerging market central banks have been buying gold for a long time. Look at that, go all the way back a decade or so, folks. These are central banks, not the ECB or the Fed. Let's bring in Euro Pacific Capital chief economist, also global strategist, Peter Schiff. All right, Peter, gold obviously rocking. Everyone's obviously jumping on the bandwagon. The question is, why now? Why at this particular time?
Well, you know, gold's probably going to close at a new record high close today. It's only a few dollars off it now, above 23.70. You know, gold is rising because the dollar, the euro, the yen, fiat currencies are losing value. Inflation is real. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere near the Fed's 2% target. We're headed in the wrong direction. We'll probably be in double digits by next year. And eventually, the first digit isn't going to be a 1. Central banks are out in front of this. They're the main buyers. You know, a lot of Americans have been foolishly selling their gold to buy these Bitcoin ETFs. You know, there's nothing elegant about losing your money in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not going up. In fact, Bitcoin peaked 2.5 years ago at about 37 ounces of gold. As we speak now, it's worth less than 27 ounces. That's a 27% decline in 2.5 years. This is a bear market. Bitcoin is going much lower than this. If Natalie were smart, as soon as this segment is over, she would sell all of her Bitcoin. Because if she doesn't sell it now, she's going to sell it later at a much lower price.
All right. Well, them's what we call fighting words. And I think there's similar drivers for both. But let me introduce the two. Natalie, meet Peter. Peter, meet Natalie. All right, Natalie, some choice words for you. What would you tell Peter?
Oh, I know, Peter. And you know what? Bitcoiners don't feel the need to constantly attack gold because we're not threatened by gold. And the reason that we have this failed fiat experiment that has impoverished our nation is because of the defects of gold. The fact that it's not easily portable, it's not easily verifiable, it doesn't offer instant final global settlement. And so you know what? Centralized authorities hijacked it, they papered over it, and we have a system of leverage and rehypothecation that hurts the working class. Bitcoin is immune to all of that. It is the savings account for billions of people that we really need and can most rely on, and it offers that final global settlement that we need. And so gold is the analog version of sound money, but Bitcoin is the digital version, and that's why it's going to be the faster horse in this race.
Peter?
There's nothing sound about Bitcoin. It's losing the race right now. Take a look at your screen. Gold is up $25, $26, and Bitcoin is getting clobbered. You know, there is no flaw in gold. Gold worked great for 5,000 years. The problem is the flaw is with governments. The flaw is with human beings, not with gold. But Bitcoin is really flawed because it doesn't have any actual value. Gold is the most useful metal on the periodic table. That's why it's money. Now, it has great characteristics that make it better money than other commodities, but absent its intrinsic value, it couldn't be money. And Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. It's just a digital string of numbers. And all of this is just a bunch of hype.
Anything could be money, right? On the island of Yap, they used to have big stone money. Anything could be money if people use it as an exchange. And this is the thing.
But that's because
But here's the thing, though. You have to admit, Bitcoin is on the rise. Wall Street has embraced it. And this is just a tiny speck. I mean, could you imagine, Peter, at the rate of recognition, if Bitcoin keeps going at this rate, it's hard to deny it could go substantially higher.
Now, I just told you it's been dropping for 2.5 years. That's when it made its
all-time high recently.
And I think that decline is going to accelerate. It does not keep going up. They suckered in a bunch of people. Wall Street didn't embrace it. They're just trying to make a buck off it. I mean, these big Wall Street firms aren't buying any Bitcoin with their own money. This is their customers' money that are dumb enough to buy it. They're just booking the bets. They're operating the casino. They're not at the blackjack tables or the roulette wheels. That's their customers that are doing that.
Natalie wants to jump back in.
You know, if you look at the short term, Bitcoin is going to be volatile. But if we zoom out, Bitcoin has outperformed gold. In fact, when Hamas attacked Israel, since then, Bitcoin is up 125% and gold is up only 27%. So let's really look at the numbers that we're seeing. And the best thing about Bitcoin is, again, no one controls the ledger, whereas gold is really vulnerable to centralization and top down control, which is why we need a system that is a neutral place to store your wealth. We need a neutral system and protocol.
Don't even compare.
That is Bitcoin
Peter,
for the
why
digital
can't someone
world.
own both? Why can't someone have exposure to both?
Yeah, well, first of all, Bitcoin has outperformed everything. So don't compare it to gold. It's outperformed stocks, real estate, bonds, collectibles. That's because it's a gigantic bubble. No, if you want to own Bitcoin, I don't care. If you want to lose money in Bitcoin, go right ahead. Doesn't bother me. But I'm trying to help give people advice as to what to do with their money. And if they want to have an investment portfolio, Bitcoin has no part in it. But, you know, if you like gambling, if you want to take some of the money that we're going to take to the racetracks or buy lottery tickets with or go to Vegas, if you want to take some of that money and gamble on Bitcoin or any of the other 20,000 cryptocurrencies that are out there, go right ahead. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I don't want to buy any Bitcoin. I mean, sure, had I bought Bitcoin years and years ago when I first learned about it, yeah, I could have made a lot of money selling it now to the greater fools, but I didn't do that.
That's something
but
he said on my show. He wishes he bought Bitcoin.
Yeah, so Natalie, bottom line, though,
but I'm not going to buy it now. And Natalie, you're going to wish you sold Bitcoin. Mark my words.
All right.
You're going to be ruining the day.
We take all of this stuff, Peter.
If I'd only sold my Bitcoin, I'd have had a lot of money.
We got 30 seconds left. I got to give Natalie the last word.
I think the American dream has really been hijacked. We tried gold. It didn't work. It was papered over. That system has failed the American people. And Bitcoin does provide hope for us, the working class. We want to be able to work for something that has to be measured by a free market so that we can see real value emerge, as opposed to being captured by politics and bureaucracy, which ultimately is a system that benefits the few at the expense of everyone else. And it's a system in which the politically connected and the special interest groups really are at the top. And so we need a system that is for the people. Bitcoin is for the people.
Natalie, thank you very much. Peter, thank you very much. Liz Clayman, over to you.
I was enjoying that.